let me set the record straight. After all, the game is played by the athletes on the floor, but at the end of the day, you still have to give the front office its credit for putting the team together. Because at the end of the day, it's sports is a business, and if it was just the players, and if you don't really consider the coaches, the president, the GM, everyone that's really paying the contracts, everyone that's looking for prospects, everyone that's scouting young players just so they can be a part of a 12, 15 man, let's say NBA roster, a 53-man NFL roster, 30-man baseball roster, so on and so forth. Without the front office, that team can't go. How you guys doing? It is currently July 12th, 2020 here in this quarantine, and for this installment of The Elite, I just want to I really didn't want to speak that long on this, but a lot of times you'll hear in arguments like, oh, of course, it's the players that show up and play. So, of course, the players deserve all the credit when they win a championship, which is fair, of course, because naturally the coaches and the GMs aren't out there, competing with the best athletes in the world in order to win said championship. But at the end of the day, like the game doesn't start and stop on the floor, even though it literally does. A lot of the times it does come to how well your organization operates. No matter how good of talent you have on the floor, and of course it varies by which sport you play. Naturally, if you play an individual sport, then if you're the most of the credit goes to you, but at the same time, credit goes to your team. The people that help you really get to where you are. Like, for instance, people don't give golf caddies enough credit when, Tiger Woods is winning all these tournaments, but at the same time, his golf caddy keeps him in the game. Same thing with Serena's trainer, everyone involved with the sport that kind of helps it go. Because, someone has to direct the masters. Someone has to control how everything works so that the players can come on and compete. When it comes to team sports, especially American team sports, I don't know. I think globally, because I guess with soccer, there's no salary cap, so it's definitely more of how you put the team together than how the team performs. But in American sports with salary caps, many people are making the argument that, because all teams are even, eventually it all comes down to what the players do when it comes down to it in the specific and when it comes down to it in specific moments. And of course, all sports are different, but at the end of the day, you have to, if you're playing on a team sport, that means that team was crafted. It took probably a long time to figure out which players you wanted to keep, whose roles, whose skills are maximized with whose. If you're playing baseball, you're scouting you're scouting all over the world, all over the Caribbean, all over South America, all over North America for baseball players that can fill in specific roles within your farm system, and you have 7-8 teams deep. You still have to put that team together. You still have to assemble the managers. You still have to hire the managers. You still have to set up the salaries so that these players are well compensated for playing. You have to hire trainers to make sure that these players get well together. You have to hire a medical staff. You have to hire all of this to make sure everything flows completely smoothly. Even and that's baseball. And baseball is less attached because you have so many different levels of minor leagues. In basketball, you could just find a kid. You could just draft 2 kids out of the draft, put them together. You still have to hire a coach that makes sure that makes sure they can keep all these egos in line, because at the end of the day, they're all professional athletes. You have to have someone calling the plays. You have to have someone putting in the proper subs at the right time, because you have to have a certain amount of people. You have to have a coach that calls timeouts at the right time. You have to have everything else there. Yes, the argument that it's the athletes and of course the GM and the owners don't pick up the basketball. Obviously they don't. But unless you have a competent front office, you're done. Just take the LeBron and Jordan argument for example. Jordan was set up in a situation with probably one of the best coaches that ever lived, and he had a GM that was able to build a team around him. And like I said, they got Phil Jackson, and Phil Jackson was a leader of men that brought the team together to work. On the other hand, you have players in LeBron James' situation where you're drafted into a terrible front office. You have multiple opportunities for them to get you help, draft well around you, make smart trade moves, whatever, and they were still unable to do it, and he was still unable to win a championship until he went to Miami. So I think if we're talking about professional sports, yes, if we're talking about the bare argument, yes, the GM and the owner don't contribute to the actual game beginning to end. Technically, yes. But that team wouldn't be together if it wasn't for the front office. There's a lot of things that I could really discuss and get into. Just it's not that it's a dumb argument, it's just that it gets kind of old. If you step back and take a look at the whole picture, yes, the sports leagues obviously wouldn't go without the players. Very obviously. But I don't know. I don't think GMs get enough credit for when teams win championships. I don't know if the Chiefs got enough credit for having their front office trade up multiple picks to get Patrick Mahomes, and now Patrick Mahomes is the first $500 million or $500 million athlete out here. So I mean that's really what I get into when I'm really talking about what all goes into a team performing at its best. And yes, the players and the coach matter, but no, like at the end of the day, it's a lot of the other people that help make these teams go, that help make these teams great. Like there's a reason that more than the players get championship rings when they win championships. So with that, I appreciate you for listening to all 6 minutes of this, and no, just listen out for my future ones. Yeah, just have a nice day. I hope all is well. Get through this quarantine safe. Peace.